This book is called Seeds of Freedom by Hester Bass, and it was illustrated by E.B. Lewis and read to you by Isaac Chapman. January 1962. Life is good in the mountains of North Alabama. Huntsville is the space center of the universe. German scientists, enemies of the United States just 20 years before, are working peacefully beside American engineers. Rockets that will take astronauts to the moon are sprouting beside the cotton fields, but these aren't good times for everyone. A girl carries a paper picture of her feet because she won't be allowed to try on shoes. A boy wants to read but cannot use the public library. And a family tries to eat in a restaurant, but the owner locks the door in their faces. Huntsville has escaped the violence that has divided some cities into black and white. However, like a lot of places in America, there are invisible lines not to be crossed. But change is in the air. Segregation, keeping people separate because of the color of their skin, is on the way out. It's time to bring people together. Time to plan. Time for action. Time to sow the seeds of freedom. Young black men and women, students, sit at lunch counters in the stores downtown. They have money and can buy anything in the store, except lunch. Can't use the restrooms either, just the way it is. These students know they will be asked to leave, know that if they don't, they'll go to jail. But they sit at these lunch counters day after day. It's called a sit-in, a nonviolent gesture against just the way it is. The seeds of freedom are planted in Huntsville. What will it take to make them grow? As the first American astronaut circles in orbit around the Earth, black men, women, and children circle around a courthouse wearing signs that say things like, "I ordered a hamburger. They served me a warrant." A warrant meaning they were arrested. Hungry for justice? They certainly were. Children like freedom too. Exactly. But walking in circles day after day makes them weary of waiting for change. The seeds of freedom need inspiration to grow. So a man of peace is invited to Huntsville. A man not very well known. Not yet. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. speaks of a time to come when black children and white children will join hands as brothers and sisters. People cheer and rise to their feet, but there's not much in the Huntsville newspaper about it, or about anything else that's happening with the civil rights movement in town. Reporters seem to agree that segregation is just the way it is, and that if they keep quiet, maybe all these protests will just go away. But the seeds of freedom need attention to grow. So 3 women decide to do something very risky. They sit down to have lunch together. A college student, a doctor's wife about to have a child, and the wife of a dentist with a baby girl in her arms. They are quiet and respectful, but because they are black, they are asked to leave. They don't. The police, who don't want this trouble, ask the ladies to go home. They won't. So the police reluctantly arrest all 3 of them, 4 including the baby. It's hard to keep it quiet when a baby goes to jail. Magazines across the nation report this story, sending a wave of worry across Huntsville. The Rocket City depends on money from the American government to stay busy with the space program, and this kind of news is bad for business. But the seeds of freedom need news to grow, so another plan is hatched. The people of Huntsville, black and white, usually did a lot of shopping for Easter. Hats, shoes, clothes. A new outfit could cost $100. So the black leaders of Huntsville asked the black people of the whole county to keep a secret. Shh. They will stand up for the freedom by dressing down. Huntsville will have a blue jeans Sunday. In 1962, only farmers wear blue jeans, and most women do not wear pants at all. Plus, such a public protest could be dangerous. People might call you names, try to hurt you, threaten to take your home, your job, or your life. But black citizens of North Alabama know that money can talk, so they go out of town, even out of state, to buy $5 blue jeans instead of fancy clothes. Some women buy denim fabric and make skirts. Store owners notice when all of those new clothes go unsold. Some people think Huntsville merchants lose about $1 million. Blue Jean Sunday is rich encouragement for the seeds of freedom. A little fresh air and sunshine might just do the trick. The public parks in Huntsville are for whites only, but a few black citizens decide to spend Mother's Day downtown in Big Spring Park. The children swing and slide and ride the merry-go-round. People stare, but no one asks them to leave, and ducks don't care what color hand feeds them. About a week later, a man is speaking on the courthouse steps, campaigning to be governor. George Wallace. He says black and white people should be separated everywhere. Now, tomorrow, forever. The black people of Huntsville have a different message. They ride around the courthouse square in the back of a truck, waving flags, playing patriotic music, holding balloons filled with helium, and tied with notes that say things like, "Please support freedom in Huntsville." They let all the balloons go until the sky was dotted with color. Wherever each balloon lands, it will plant a tiny seed of freedom. Across the country, the call for change is heard. President John F. Kennedy supports freedom for all Americans. It is the law for buses, trains, and public schools to be open to everyone, although that is not yet the case. Huntsville is prosperous, proud, and peaceful. To keep it that way, the mayor realizes that whatever threatens the future of Huntsville must be stopped, even if it means stopping nearly a century of custom and tradition, and just the way it is. Only 6 months after the first Huntsville sit-in, victory is in sight. Black civil rights leaders and white city officials convinced downtown business owners to integrate to bring Huntsville's black and white citizens together in peace. No one wants anyone who might turn this into a violent confrontation to know about the plan, so it's kept secret. Shh. On a certain day, at certain lunch counters, a certain time arrives. Black men and women sit down and have lunch besides white men and women. Some ask, "Is this okay?" Lunch counter servers say, "That is what we're doing, right?" Policemen out of uniform keep watch, but there's no trouble. Over the summer, little by little, people come together. At the hospital, the bowling alley, the movie theater, the tender plant of freedom is growing. But not in the schools. In the fall, President Kennedy visits Huntsville to see the rockets and talk about freedom. 35 black families ask the school board to obey the law that makes separate schools illegal. But the school board does nothing. Angry voices on the telephone threaten these families till only 4 agree to be a part of a lawsuit, which won't be heard by a judge for nearly a year. Meanwhile, schools for black children have no library, no cafeteria, and no buses, while the school for white children seem to have everything. Are the seeds of freedom wilting? It's a peaceful spring and summer in Huntsville in 1963, but not elsewhere in Alabama. More than 1,000 black children gather for a nonviolent protest in a Birmingham park. They are met with gushing fire hoses and snarling dogs. It's on television, nationwide. The man who wanted segregation forever is now governor. He stands in the university door trying to keep black students out. It's on television, nationwide. 200,000 people march for freedom in Washington, D.C. Dr. King gives a speech echoing the dream that black children and white children will join hands in peace. It's on television, nationwide. In the heat of August, 4 Huntsville families face the judge. Since the law is clear, he rules quickly, saying, "Admit these 4 students to school." On the Tuesday after Labor Day, families all over Huntsville are packing satchels with pencils and paper. Four black children prepare to walk into history, each hand in hand with a parent, each approaching a school where no friends are waiting. People shout ugly words at them. There are reporters, photographers. Four hands reach for doors that are locked. Governor Wallace has closed all of Alabama public schools, planning to admit black students. Across towns at a private religious school with all black students, 12 white students begin school without incident. In the first case of a so-called reverse integration in Alabama. By Friday, Wallace sends state troopers to greet anyone trying to go into public school in Huntsville, with weapons and helmets and stern, grim faces. To keep the peace, he says. On Monday, September 9th, the students are ready to try again. The crowds and troopers are gone. There are a few city policemen, reporters, photographers, and children just trying to go to school. At about 8:30 that morning, Dr. Sonny W. Hereford III, a leader in the civil rights movement, walks into Fifth Avenue School with his 6-year-old son, Sonny W. Hereford V, who becomes the first black child to attend a formally all-white public school in the state of Alabama. Another peaceful first for Huntsville. There will be more work ahead, but through nonviolence and dignity and cooperation and courage, the black and white people of Huntsville have come together in peace to taste the sweet fruit homegrown from the seeds of freedom. The end.